Hey everybody, it's time for part 2 of my 7-part video series covering the Green Lantern-centric DC Comics event, Blackest Night. If you haven't watched part 1 yet, that's okay, since this video largely works as a standalone experience, but it will be enhanced by you having seen what Green Lantern, Flash, and the gang went through during the opening chapters of the overall Blackest Night story. That said, it's time to see what happens when heroes all over the world become aware of the Black Lantern invasion and join the fight. This time we're talking about Blackest Night Titans numbers 1 to 3 and Blackest Night Wonder Woman number 1, so let's get right into it. Blackest Night Titans numbers 1, 2, and 3, written by J.T. Krull with pencils by Ed Benes, inks by Rob Hunter, John Sabal, J.P. Mayer, and Scott Williams, colors by Hi-Fi Design, and letters by Rob Clark Jr. It's a day of remembrance for fallen heroes, and members new and old gather at Titan's Tower to pay their respects to friends and allies who gave their lives for the team. But unlike the event in Coast City, this is a much more somber gathering, as everyone assembled here has very complicated feelings about the dead. Beast Boy, for example, mourns the loss of Terra, his one true love, which Starfire thinks is foolish since Terra tried to kill the Titans by betraying them all to Deathstroke. Kid Flash recently returned from the dead himself, and hates the fact that all of these other heroes haven't. To him, every monument to a fallen friend is just a reminder of how unfair life is, since not everyone gets a second chance like he did. But Wonder Girl is decidedly more optimistic, since both Kid Flash and Superboy were able to return to life, which gives her hope that death may not really be the end after all. But Donna Troy has a much more down-to-earth view of things. She was a wife and a mother until the day her husband and infant son were killed in a car accident. Normal people don't cheat death the way super people do, and the cold reality of that fact makes this day of remembrance a truly sad one for Donna. Also in attendance are Holly and Dawn Granger, the heroes currently known as Hawk and Dove, who have a hard time seeing eye to eye when it comes to how their predecessors should be remembered. Holly looks back on the previous Hawk, Hank Hall, and sees him as nothing but a smug jerk who died as a villain. Dawn insists that there was more to Hank than the surface-level attributes that put everyone off, but nobody except for her ever cared enough to look deeper. She insists that Holly is only tearing down Hank to prop herself up as the superior Hawk, which is probably true. Hawk and Dove are champions chosen by the forces of chaos and order, with Hawk being the avatar of war and Dove the avatar of peace. So it's no wonder that Holly is always so confrontational, looking at every comparison as a fight to be won. All Dawn really wants is for her sister to realize that there's more to life than conflict, that she could be more than just Hawk if only she put in a little effort. But those dreams are dashed when the two of them are attacked by Black Lantern Hank Hall, who immediately has the upper hand against both of them. Dawn is holding back because of her feelings for Hank. She doesn't know what's going on and doesn't want to fight him. And Holly is as angry as she is arrogant, so she entered the fight assuming she'd win because she believes Hank is an inherently worse Hawk than she is. And that's why it was so easy for him to defeat her. There was nothing either of them could do to stop Hank from harvesting Holly's rage-filled heart, which drove the normally peaceful Dove to a breaking point, taking all of her anger out on the Black Lantern. But it was all for nothing, because Hank refused to fall, and Holly rose again thanks to a black ring of her own. Outnumbered and outmatched, Dove makes a run for it, hoping to find help, but the two Black Lantern Hawks are right behind her. Meanwhile, outside Titan's Tower, Beast Boy is met with the surprise of his life. Terra is suddenly standing right in front of him, looking exactly like she did back in the old days. Before her death, before her betrayal, when they were happy. He knows it doesn't make sense for her to be back, but he doesn't care, he just wants this to be real. Unfortunately, it isn't. Terra's appearance is the result of another Black Lantern, the former Titan named Omen, using her telepathic powers to make Beast Boy see Terra the way she used to be. Once Starfire and Cyborg show up, the illusion falls apart, and Beast Boy sees Terra's true Black Lantern form. Inside the tower, Donna wakes up to a sight that the word nightmare doesn't even begin to describe. Her husband and their baby have both come back as Black Lanterns. And this is an especially torturous thing to do to Donna, because she's cheated death herself so many times before, had so many starts and stops to her life and her history, and now that they're standing right in front of her, she dares to think that maybe Wonder Girl was right. Maybe death isn't the end. Maybe her husband and son really could come back. But her hope is rewarded with violence, when the baby bites Donna on the neck. Kid Flash and Wonder Girl hear Donna scream and rush to save her, but a necrotic infection has already begun to spread. Outside, the rest of the Titans are doing pretty well against the two Black Lanterns, until Omen uses her powers to immobilize Cyborg and Starfire by making them experience visions of their ideal lives. Terra takes advantage of the moment and uses her earthbending powers to sink Titan's tower all the way down into the ground, trapping Donna, Wonder Girl, and Kid Flash below several tons of stone and rubble. The structure is too unstable for Kid Flash to risk using his powers, and Donna's condition is getting worse. Outside, an entire team of Black Lantern Titans shows up, including Tempest, Tula, and Dolphin, who we last saw during the fight with Mera in the main Blackest Night miniseries. Beast Boy is the only hero left standing, so he turns into a dinosaur and starts furiously attacking Terra and Omen, which snaps Cyborg and Starfire back to their senses. Donna, Wonder Girl, and Kid Flash manage to dig themselves out, and now it's two full teams of Titans fighting each other to the death, with Donna assuring everyone that the Black Lanterns aren't who they appear to be, and that nobody should be holding back. At this point in the fight, Donna and Beast Boy each experience a painful truth. Donna realizes that, for the rest of her life, she'll never be able to separate her memories of her husband and son from the memory of this horrific night, and the memory of the brutal things she has to do to destroy these creatures. And Beast Boy realizes that the Terra he fell in love with was never real. She was putting on an act to gain the Titans' trust. The real Terra was just as much of a fake as the Black Lantern version is. He knows that. He knows none of it was real. And he knows he'll always love her anyway. But just when it seems like the heroes are winning, all of the Black Lanterns get back up, their injuries fully regenerated. The battle and the mind games resume with no end in sight. That's when Dove arrives, hoping to find backup to help her deal with the two Hawks. The heroes are backed into a corner, Dawn has been pushed to her physical and emotional limit, and the Black Lantern version of her sister Holly finally closes in for the kill. Then, something miraculous happens. We've seen through the eyes of Black Lanterns before. We know that they can see the light of your dominant emotions, and use that to know when you're ready to be harvested. But whenever a Black Lantern looks at Dawn, it sees something else. Instead of any emotion on the spectrum, what they see in Dawn is a strange white light. And when the Black Rings try to identify this light, all it gets is static. Now, when Holly reaches out to take her sister's heart, the Black Lantern recoils in pain, the Black Ring shuts off, and Black Lantern Holly is gone. Every Black Lantern in the area realizes what just happened, and immediately drops everything to go kill Dawn. 10 Black Lanterns descend upon Dove. A force that was on the verge of wiping out all of the Titans was now focused entirely on Dawn. But that's fine by her, because after the night she's had, after what she's lost, she's ready to take everything within herself. Her strength, her hope, her fear, her rage, all of it, and let it out. And when she does, her body radiates a blinding white light that destroys every Black Lantern ring that gets too close. 10 Black Lanterns attacked Dove, and 7 of them were incinerated instantly, never to rise again. In that moment, Dawn had a vision of Don Hall, the original Dove and Hank's brother. He tells her not to give up, and that there's still a way she can save Hank. When she wakes up, the 3 remaining Black Lanterns, including Hank, have retreated, and the Titans prepare to go after them. Kid Flash confirms that Black Lanterns are rising all over the world, and Donna wants to get Dove to the front lines of this battle, because she may be the only person with the power to stop these monsters. But no matter what happens, Donna wants to keep Dove close, because her infection is still spreading. She can feel something in the dark calling to her, and she can see the emotions of other people just like the Black Lanterns can. And if the worst does happen, Donna wants Dove there to stop her. Something that we're going to continue to see with a lot of these tie-ins is small additions and changes in perspective that can impact how we think about Black Lanterns going forward. In the case of the Titans, the focus is on how our relationships with people can live on even after those people are gone, and what it can mean if those relationships were fundamentally unhealthy to begin with. What we see a lot of when it comes to Black Lanterns is a basically good person twisted into something malicious and cruel. But with Tara, we're seeing something that's more analogous to what her true nature was when she was alive, which lets Beast Boy finally work out the truth of his feelings. Donna had it incredibly rough in this story. There's a page I specifically skipped over because I couldn't think of a way to show or talk about it without YouTube nuking this video. But suffice to say that Donna does something pretty extreme to try and put an end to the Black Lanterns that are plaguing her. And it feels needlessly extreme, like they did it just to be extra shocking and edgy, which I think is unnecessary, especially considering that the nature of her particular loss was already more than heart-wrenching enough. And Dove? God, Dove is the most important person in the universe right now. This is the magic bullet that the Indigo tribe went into space with Hal Jordan to find. I still don't fully understand why Dove can do this. She's the avatar of peace, and we saw previously that the original Dove couldn't become a Black Lantern because his soul was fully at peace. So maybe the power of Dove, or the traits that make them worthy of that power, counteracts the Black Rings because they can only raise people with inner turmoil to exploit? I'm not sure. If anyone watching this is an expert on Hawk and Dove, please tell me in the comments how and why it makes sense that Dove can do this, because I love it and I would love to understand it. Now we're going to move along and talk about Blackest Night Wonder Woman #1. Written by Greg Rucka with pencils by Nicola Scott, inks by Prentice Rollins, Jonathan Glapion, Walden Wong, and Drew Garassi, colors by Ney Ruffino, and letters by Travis Lanham. Wonder Woman is in Washington, D.C., following a trail of bodies meant to lure her into a trap. Maxwell Lord, the man she killed after he betrayed the Justice League and turned Superman into his own personal mind-controlled pawn, has returned as a Black Lantern and is now targeting her. As Diana makes her way towards the cemetery where Max is waiting, she thinks about the sometimes complicated and often unfortunate relationship between life, violence, and death. She thinks of all the loved ones she's lost, and all the times she's had no choice but to take a life. Max has prepared a whole host of theatrics to throw her off her game. He chose to lure Wonder Woman to Arlington National Cemetery because it was a good place to raise a massive army of Black Lanterns, and the sight of so many soldiers having their graves and remains desecrated would surely get a strong emotional reaction out of her. But to Max's surprise, it doesn't work. At least not the way he expected. Despite the fact that the Black Lanterns are designed to manipulate people's emotions, they don't actually understand the emotions they manipulate. And Max has no idea why Wonder Woman feels the way she does. She fights him, determined to punish him for what he's done, but she isn't doing it out of anger towards Max. She's doing it out of love for his victims. Max doesn't understand that, and that's why all of his attempts to manipulate her fail. Despite that, the love Diana feels is just as good as any other emotion, and the Black Lanterns move in to harvest her heart, to take away the love she feels so strongly. And as she pushes them all back, Wonder Woman declares what truly is a fact about love that too many of us take for granted. The fact that love can't be taken, only given. Now, that doesn't mean the Black Lanterns couldn't harvest her heart if they got the chance. They absolutely could, but the point here is that she'd never give them that chance. Diana has always been a character defined by truth. The goodness she sees in people, the clarity of her mission, the potential she sees for what the world can become. She's unwavering in her beliefs, and has no reason to entertain or fear lies. The Black Lanterns, on the other hand, are nothing but lies. Rings pretending to be people, playing with emotions that they don't understand. They can't overcome Wonder Woman because, at the end of the day, lies are nothing compared to the truth. That's why it's so fitting that her magic lasso, a physical embodiment of truth, be the weapon that ends this fight. It strikes the ground, the friction sparking a fire that burns away the bodies of all the Black Lanterns in the area, turning them all to ash. This is only a temporary solution, and Max will be after her again before too long, but she'll deal with that when the time comes. For now, it's time to regroup with the other heroes, because the world will need Wonder Woman before this long night is over. This issue is a weird one, because it bends a bunch of rules for the sake of using the concept of the Black Lanterns as the catalyst for a character study of Diana. I don't think I've ever seen her do that thing with a lasso before or after this moment, but it was thematically appropriate here, and that's all the story is concerned with. It's a little strange how unwaveringly calm and sure of herself Diana is throughout this entire issue. This might be the only time in all of Blackest Night where the hero isn't in any danger at any point and knows it. It's like they eliminated all of the stakes in favor of telling what ended up being a parable about the power of love, which tells us a lot about Diana's character, as well as foreshadowing what's going to happen to her by the end of this event. The ending does make Wonder Woman seem kind of irresponsible, since she just sort of leaves, even though all those Black Lanterns are only momentarily neutralized, and Max is already in the process of regenerating when she takes off. The implication is that Max will just follow her, and hopefully he brings all of those Black Lantern soldiers with him, because there's literally nothing that law enforcement or the military can do about them without a superhero or two to help. Now, there are 2 more issues of Blackest Night Wonder Woman, but we'll be getting to those in a later part of this 7-part video series, since each issue of Blackest Night Wonder Woman takes place at a different point in the overall story of Blackest Night. Next time, though, we'll be talking about Blackest Night Superman numbers 1 to 3, Blackest Night number 4, and Blackest Night JSA numbers 1 to 3. It's time for some of the most powerful heroes on Earth to mount a counterattack, and you won't want to miss it. And to be sure that you don't miss it, subscribe to the channel and ring that bell. And while you're at it, leave a comment telling me what you think of these issues. Did the characterization of Beast Boy and Tara's relationship work for you? What do you think about Donna's deadly infection? Do you know how Dove makes sense? Tell me all about it, and I'll be back very soon with part 3 in this 7-part series. Until then, let me just say thank you for taking the time to watch. My name is Dan, we'll talk again soon.